All right, back in the basement again today to talk a little bit about the cutting room floor. And what I mean by that is there is sometimes stuff that comes into this basement or I use in my gym or companies send me that just never really see the light of day in terms of actual content or I talk much about outside of maybe comments on YouTube, Instagram, or Discord channels. Now, I figured that today I have some kind of videos to show you of that I filmed in anticipation of a potential video. And also yesterday I made a post on Instagram talking about some things with influencers and what to watch out for, but also my criteria for taking on equipment because things have definitely changed over the years. And if you're interested in hearing more, maybe I can give you kind of the evolution of where I got to today. But basically here in my gym, for the most part, I am pretty set when it comes to equipment, which means I'm not looking to buy a lot of stuff. I'd like to think that my gym is mostly done. Knock on chrome, if you will. But there are still stuff that comes in occasionally, and it really has to fit into three buckets. The first bucket of which is it fulfills a need or a gap that I currently can't do with my existing equipment. So for the most part, this is pretty rare. There's not a lot that I seek out that I think I'm missing this component of my training in my gym. I can do a lot of stuff with what I have. So that bucket is pretty much filled to this point. I've done a great job, or a poor job if you look at my financials, from the past couple of years, kind of fleshing out what I envision this gym to be. The second bucket is things that could potentially be an upgrade or enhance existing equipment. So if there's a better version of something that maybe has some more versatility, it might be worth taking a flyer on. Now, those don't always work out for the best. In some cases, a prime example is the Kabuki transformer bar. I bought it to replace my SSB because I thought it could be more. And I found out it wasn't what I expected because it wasn't as good of an SSB. And I didn't end up using it for a lot of the other settings that I ended up selling it and buying an SSB again. But that would fill one of those criteria buckets. The third and last criteria one is kind of a wild card, meaning that I will sometimes bring stuff in that is edgy or I'm on the fence about, and they're high value items, meaning that it's not something I would really commit my money to or want to because it doesn't fit number one or two in the criteria I just listed. But it's something that if it's offered to me, I might take a flyer on because it's worth a shot. And if I don't like it, I can just move on from it. And that's what today's video is about, and cold plunge therapy. And this is the exact example I used in that post on Instagram. Now, some things to kind of clarify as well. A lot of the stuff I show you in the gym is stuff that I spend my own money on. That's not always the case. I do have some partnerships with brands from over the years of just working together and really liking the quality that, you can tell by the stuff that lives in my gym, because a lot of stuff has come and gone over the course of the years. And you can rewind my channel a couple years back and see how things have evolved and what has stayed and what hasn't. And I tend to only really partner with companies that live in the gym. So companies like Hansu, for example, they send me a lot of stuff, but I use their stuff all the time because I like it and it's high quality. Whereas some other stuff that people send me that maybe isn't up to my standards or isn't better than what I have, I might do reviews on, but it ends up leaving anyways and I don't stick to it. So that's really a good way to tell, at least from your standpoint, from my reviews and stuff I talk about, what I really like is the stuff that has lived in my gym for a long period of time. Now, of course, there's some gray area there and things change and I'm not perfect either. But long story short, cold plunge therapy, in this case, Ice Barrel Company, reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to try one of our ice barrels? Now, I got to be honest here. I am not the type of person who really gets turned on by ice barrels. And that's kind of a weird way to put it. But for me, the person that likes ice barrels are the type of people that like to listen to very motivational speakers, or they're into David Goggins or Joe Rogan or even like Gary Vee. And if you're into that, that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody. But in my mind, when I think of people that are into cold plunge therapy, those are the type of people that I look at. Like they like that motivational type side of speakers and reading books on how to get better. That's just not me. So cold plunge therapy was never something that really tickled my fancy. And it definitely didn't fit those first two criteria. But it's still an interesting premise because you know what? I tried things before that might be kind of weird. I wasn't sure of, and it ended up really helping, or in some cases solidified my decision that that is just not for me. And I'll let you leave that one up to your imagination. So when Ice Barrel reached out and said, hey, are you interested in this? I talked about it with my wife and she thought it might be an interesting thing to try out as well. So we decided to take it on. Now, oftentimes when I partner with companies, I've mentioned some other brands before, like I do not sign up for affiliates blindly, meaning that if I don't like the product, if it doesn't live in my gym, if I don't use it, if I don't think it has some value, if I wouldn't recommend it necessarily, whether I'm paying for it or not, I will not have an affiliate for them. In fact, over the past couple of years, even some of the companies that I've kind of pushed in the past or had an affiliate for because at the time I used their equipment or it lived in the gym, as I've whittled stuff down and kind of finalized a lot of the stuff that's in here, I actually probably cut about 60% of my affiliates and I don't broadcast them as much. I'm still guilty of broadcasting. I'm still an influencer and I still need to pay for some of the stuff that fits into buckets 1 and 2 that I've already outlined. But oftentimes when companies first approach me, their spiel is, hey, we want to send you XYZ for free and we want you to be an affiliate and we'll set you up with a discount code where you get a kickback. I don't agree to those things until I actually know if I like it or not. I don't want an affiliate code for something that I don't like, I wouldn't recommend, or I don't think my audience would necessarily like. Okay? That's my white knighting and trying to make myself feel better about my own position here on my channel. But that's just where I am at this point of my YouTube career, I guess I would say. So when Ice Barrel reached out and said, do you want to try this? It fit into bucket number 3, right? Cold plunge therapy. It's not something I'm into, but it's worth giving a shot, especially when I take a look at the product they wanted to send me costing $1,200 retail, which is super expensive. And aside rant tangent of this, it's really funny because I see a lot of people talk about this product specifically on like the Garage Gym Reviews Facebook page because Rogue Fitness carries it. And they kind of shame Rogue for trying to sell you a $1,200 bucket for the most part, when in reality, if you go to the Ice Barrel site and try to purchase it, it's going to be the exact same cost. So this is just what the company charges. So $1,200 cold plunge therapy. I thought I would give it a shot. I got it in. It's exactly what you thought it was. It's a big tub that you put water in and you get it. Now, some first expectations with this were kind of mixed bag. It's a $1,200 product, right? I was expecting something really high quality, something different, maybe something like a big, igloo type cooler material. And instead you get like this plastic tub, which in reality, I wouldn't really spend more than a couple $100 on, if at all. My buddy Jonathan from No Fate 247, he made a video comparing his Ice Barrel to like a big bucket that he got from like a Tractor Supply type store for like $200 or something. And I think he actually preferred the cheaper one as well. If I can remember to do so, I will link his video in the description box below. But I got my Ice Barrel in. It came in a big bucket, big box. Talking about buckets and boxes, I'm getting all sorts of confused. But upon opening it, it had a huge dent in the side. So this thing was beat up. I had to literally crawl in and kind of like punch out the dent in it. It's kind of annoying. It took forever to fill up. So I just used a normal hose. It probably took about 50 minutes to fill up. And even though this is an Ice Barrel for cold plunge therapy, you think, like I said, like igloo type cooler, it's actually not insulated. So when I first tried it out, it was in the winter time, so it was freezing. So the water was cold as is. But in the summertime, it does not stay cold. So you have to either consistently change out the water or consistently add ice. And it just becomes a real pain in the ass, especially considering that you have to change the water. I don't remember the exact frequency at which it suggests, but I didn't adhere to it. But if I changed it at the frequency it suggested, it would be even more annoying because that is a lot of freaking water. Again, 50 minutes of running my hose to fill it up, only to have to dump it out and refill it. I'm just not about that. No, I would love to see one, or if I was going to buy one, which I'm not going to, that has some sort of like, number one, chiller feature or is insulated and has something better about in terms of keeping the water fresher for you while using it. Now, we all tried it, myself, my wife, my kids actually got more out of a kick of it than I did, just jumping in and out. And unfortunately, I don't have a ton of clips for it because this was quite some time ago, like a year ago that I had it and started making videos on it. My initial impressions of just getting in was it was difficult to get in, blah, blah, blah. But even over time, as I kind of adapted to it and was able to spend more time in it, I didn't really see much benefit from it. And part of that is probably also due to just my mental aspect of number one, not believing in it to begin with, and also seeing a lot of content from people that I trust in their opinion, who does a lot more research than I do, saying how it isn't actually beneficial for like recovery and how I train. In fact, in some cases, it could actually be detrimental in those use cases. So it probably kind of put me in a bad sense as far as that goes. But I did give it a shot. But what I found is it was super annoying. I didn't end up using it. I didn't get any benefit from it. And the research really wasn't supportive of it. So I just decided to move on from it and sell it and just never make a video on it up until now. I figured I would because this way I can go on my hard drive and delete what clips I have left. But I just wanted to give you some feedback on it in case you are interested in it. Now, again, that's not to say that cold plunge therapy might not be beneficial for some athletes, but for 43-year-old powerlifters who make YouTube videos and just live a normal life, it's not, right? It's a big monetary commitment. It's little return in terms of recovery. And I think the only real return I would see from it is if I was the type to post videos about me doing ice plunges and how hard things are good for me and all that other stuff. And to be honest, for what I got out of the cold plunge, the biggest benefit was just like, hey, this is cold. This sucks. Let's get in. Let's get over that. And I did feel invigorated getting out of it because it sucks to be in there. But to be honest, I get that same feeling from just turning the shower on as cold as possible. Or in the winter, living in New England, I could just go jump into the ocean and basically get those same benefits without having to pay that $1,200 fee, without having to change the water or anything like that. So that is my ice barrel story. It's not that exciting, but I just want to kind of fill in some of the gaps. I can go through some of the other things that I've had that I've just never made videos on. In fact, you might be able to see like the Assault Air Runner behind me, which I actually just got done walking on. I use it just to walk and watch YouTube as I warm up in some cases for my training. Or if you want more insight into the influencer life that I have lived, I'm kind of bitter, but at the same time, it's kind of like I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I do a lot of the things I complain about. I don't know. Let me know what you want to see in the description in the comment box below. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.
Woo!